Hi, my name's Jamie, and today I'm going to talk to you about a topic I'm really passionate about. And that topic is, I'm sorry, I just can't do this. It sounds ridiculous. You know what, next time you're giving a speech or doing a presentation, you got to stop being scripted and get authentic. Let's do it. Hey all, Jamie Potter here, PhD in organizational behavior from the Wharton School of Business. And today I am here to talk to you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is the topic of authenticity. This took up a number of the early years of my PhD, just trying to understand this topic. And as it turns out, it's a difficult one to define, which actually makes it pretty tricky to do research on. It's defined largely as being true to oneself. That's difficult for a number of reasons, because first you have to define the self. Exactly what does that mean? And then also define what does it mean to be true to that. Very nebulous topic. But what we do know about authenticity from the literature are a number of things. Primarily, we know that it has two impacts on people. It has intrapersonal impacts, meaning when we are authentic, it impacts us personally. And it also has interpersonal impacts, meaning when I'm being authentic, other people can sort of see that in me and they'll react differently to me. So let's dig into each one of those. So first, on the intrapersonal side, we actually have to rewind a bit and talk about the research on well-being a little bit, which is actually a fascinating topic. So Ryan and DC, actually pioneers in the study of motivation, also did a fantastic review article on the topic of well-being. And what they came to, sort of summarizing the research, there's actually two different perspectives on well-being. There's a hedonic perspective, which is kind of the one, we've all heard the word hedonic, sort of, I'm just living for pleasure and that brings me well-being. And there's also another one, a very tricky word to say, the eudaimonic, right? And this one is more focused on meaning, right? It's a deeper idea than just, I don't have stress in my life and I live on a beach. It's actually, am I living with purpose and meaning? And in this eudaimonic stream of well-being research, there's this idea that exists called personal expressiveness, which is a really interesting one. And part of the way we get to this eudaimonic well-being is through this personal expressiveness, meaning I'm expressing myself in a way that's true to me, right? It just feels right. I'm applying myself to tasks that sort of coincide with who I am, my values as a person, and it leads to this sort of deeper form of well-being than just, I like to go to the beach and have fun and sip on a margarita, right? So personal expressiveness, which correlates pretty closely to the topic of authenticity. On the eudaimonic side, the research on this actually goes back a bit farther than most other research, back to the time of Aristotle, several thousand years ago, who looked into this idea that well-being is not necessarily just this very simple happiness of sipping a margarita on the beach, but it can also be this deeper form of personal meaning, that I'm sort of fulfilling what I want to do in this world. And part of that study has looked at a topic called personal expressiveness, which is very closely related to authenticity. And what it means essentially is I'm, as it sounds, expressing myself in a way that resonates with who I am. It just sort of feels right. I'm applying myself to tasks that coincide with my values and who I am as a person. I'm associating myself with other people that allow me to express myself in a way that feels right. And that actually leads to this very deep form, this eudaimonic form of well-being. And actually more recent research by Adam Galinsky of Columbia Business School further looks into this idea of authenticity with a different lens, and it actually examines the question of why are powerful people so happy in many cases? And what they find in this very clever study, which I link to in the description below, is that part of the reason powerful people are happy is because they can be more authentic. When we are first in an organization or a group of some sort, we find ourselves conforming a lot to the norms and really just kind of staying quiet and listening so I can understand the norms, such that I can integrate with the group. However, when you are powerful, you're really able to express your personal values more. And we all know this when we see the senior people at work. Often seems like they're kind of doing their own thing, and that is because that power does lead to authenticity, leads to a greater leeway to be authentic in your daily behaviors, which leads to higher well-being in the future. And two, on the interpersonal side, this is kind of the area I found really interesting because there's less research on this. So not only does authenticity impact us, but when you're watching a speech or seeing someone, a teacher, teach a lesson, and you kind of just feel like this sounds scripted. This doesn't feel authentic. And on the flip side, of course, when you meet somebody right away and you just go, wow, I feel like they're genuinely being authentic. I feel like they're being true to themselves. I dug through the research for years and I just couldn't find a ton on that. What are those markers of how a person is acting where we can just say, kind of in a split second in many cases, that person is authentic? So I actually devoted a lot of my research, including my dissertation, to that idea. And what I'm going to spend actually the second half of this video on is some of the different methodologies I used to study people, very quantitative methodologies to study facial expressions and bodily movements, as well as voice, which we're going to be looking at here, to determine what are sort of the markers of our voice that give away if someone is being authentic. Right, and so what I'm going to do is I have two recordings of myself saying the same thing, and I'm going to go through these with this great program called Pratt, which I'll link to again in the description below, and do some pretty cool analytics on that to show, none of this is published, none of this is peer-reviewed, but it is kind of interesting to just at a baseline analyze yourself. A lot of the reason people love psychology is because you get to study ourselves. And what I'm going to show you is an analysis of my self-talking and how when I'm being less scripted and more authentic, there are different markers of my pitch and tone of voice that we can pick up and sort of the cadence with how I'm speaking that I'm going to show you in just a second. Right, so let's get into it here. So first things first, I got my two audio clips that I recorded, one where I sound really scripted, the other where I sound more authentic and unscripted. I recorded those in MP3 real simply, about 10 seconds each. I'm now going to run them through my Pratt script. So Pratt is a program you can download. This script you do have to write. I wrote this script on my own for my dissertation, and I've now adapted it for the purposes of doing this simple analysis on my two audio clips here. So let's do it. Let's first run this on the two audio clips. We'll see it spits out a whole bunch of cool stuff. So let's pull up. We got the scripted and we got the unscripted. I'm going to play this for you just so you can hear what I recorded.
Hi YouTube, my name's Jamie Potter, and today I'm going to talk to you about a cool new app I created.
So scripted, I sound like kind of one of those nervous people on Shark Tank who's just reading off the script, who practiced 2,000 times, not sounding so great. Let's do the unscripted authentic one.
What's going on YouTube? Jamie Potter here, and today I'm going to talk to you about a cool new app that I've created.
And I gotta admit, I don't sound the coolest and most normal there, but at least I don't sound scripted, right? That's one where I was just kind of talking off the cuff in a way I normally would. So I've recorded each of these. For one, you just get this really cool output that's sort of fun to play around with from Pratt. But let's take it and do some great, interesting, cool analysis in R on it. So I wrote up this script real fast. So first thing we're gonna see that spits out here is this awesome graph, which is just showing the pitch of my voice for the authentic in this sort of orange-red line. And then this dotted green line is the more scripted, inauthentic one. And you'll notice there's a ton of analysis we could do here. I'm keeping it simple for the purposes of this YouTube video, which people tell me need to be short. So you can look at a lot of things. One that's really interesting is upspeak. This idea that at the end of sounds we make, when at the end of a sentence, we sort of raise our pitch. It sounds like we're asking a question. Sounds like we're hedging our bets a little bit. This is a really interesting one to look at to kind of optimize how you're talking for leadership purposes or for the purposes of just sounding more authentic, whether in a job interview or otherwise. So that's a cool one to look at. We're not going to look at it here to keep things short. but let's look at a few interesting things here. So first, what I did is look at just the mean pitch and the standard deviation of pitch for the authentic versus the scripted audio clip. And we're going to see something really interesting here. For one, the mean pitch was slightly higher in the authentic video, kind of interesting, but noticeably so, the standard deviation of pitch in the authentic one is nearly double. Right? So when I'm talking authentically, I'm kind of naturally modulating my voice. I'm talking with longer sentences and shorter sentences, and my pitch gets deeper, and then at times it gets higher. When I'm reading off the script, it's all kind of flatlined. It's a bit monotonic, and you can actually see that really clearly. So, if you're practicing for something, you record a few different things, run this analysis on it, you can quickly compare the two to see in which one you kind of were modulating your voice better. But the second analysis, which I absolutely love, I spent a lot of time theoretically during my PhD just thinking, what are the other things? When I see someone that sounds scripted, what are they doing? What is their voice doing? What is their body doing? And one thing I thought about is their voice is kind of choppy. They're sort of saying each word and then pausing before the next word. And in Pratt, I set up this way that you can actually analyze the silence between sounds and see how long that is. And sure enough, what we find here in the scripted, 0.658 versus in the unscripted authentic, 0.397. So the time between sounds when I'm scripted is nearly double. I don't think that'll ever get old for me. I absolutely love that. I hope you find it as interesting and valuable as I do. As I mentioned at the end, I'm happy to work on this with other people, consult with them, whether people that are about to go for an interview and just want to make sure they're sounding their best and conveying their experiences in the most authentic, passionate way possible, or leaders that are about to give a speech to their organization. It is vitally important in these times to rally people behind you, to be passionate and not be sounding scripted and just reading off a sheet of paper and sort of putting people to sleep. There's no better way to disengage people than to sound scripted. And with these simple analyses, we can analyze actual pieces of your speech and see how small changes and how you're talking can really result in big impacts on the people that you're speaking to. So that is it for me today, YouTube. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be back next week with another topic. Please subscribe to this. Please like the video, make comments below. I will respond to each and every one of those comments. I hope you're enjoying these videos. I'm going to keep making them anyway, but the more subscribers I have, the more fun it is. So please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.